And you know, with the skin, I often, and Robin Rose Bennett does a beautiful job in her book, The Gift of the Healing Herbs, talking about the different body systems, and her section on the skin is besides vitamin D from the sun on our skin, so do mushrooms. So we have a lot in common with mushrooms, and so when you think about like their cell walls are really strong. You have to cook them to break them down, you know. And our skin is our protection. It's our cell wall, so to speak, and it protects us, right? And it's very vulnerable, and it gives us messages about when things aren't going well or going right, right? The skin is, you know, our greatest absorption as well as releasing organ, you know. So we had a lot from that. Okay.
I had one last.
So follow the web. Like, what if you did like a pilgrimage where you walked and you tried to follow the mycelium web, and you just kept walking? I'm going on that. Wouldn't that be great? Okay. And it's kind of cool
Can
if
you
you
say
look.
that again?
Haifa.
No, the whole statement. What's the haifa?
Our intuition is our haifa. Right? So we have, you know, if we were to equate ourselves to mycelium, we pick things up through our intuition. And so I think the mushrooms can teach us like which things, because they know which things to pick up and which not. And we've been socialized to, that's been like basically cut off dead ends, like, you know, and we need to cultivate that. I think the mushrooms can really help us with that, to cultivate that, get that sensitivity. And the herbs help us with that too, like strengthening our nerve endings and really being able to feel things more fully. Are you drinking your oat straw today? That'll do it for you. That's why oat straw is considered an aphrodisiac, because it makes your nerve endings more receptive. So, you know, you feel more. So. Well, I do grow these, and this particular batch is from Ingrid's Lodge, who taught the cultivation class. But I do grow these too. So if you have never worked with these, go ahead and grab a mushroom and everybody can have take the stem off and feel how much drier the stem is. It's very dry and hard, so I always separate these. You can't really, they won't get tender, you can't cook them. So I cook this, and I utilize this for other things. I often drop it in vinegar. That's one of my favorite things because I utilize that internally. But it also, in vinegar, would be helpful for fungal infections. Like you could, you know, tincture it or put it in oil. Now, fungal infections are interesting because some of them would be real dry.
Some of them, are you having a hard time?
Yes.
Too. Yeah.
And today, if anybody wants to put them in oil, you can, because you feel how much drier they are. If you know, than the mushrooms cap. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So this will hold up in oil, whereas this is not going to hold up so well in oil.
Do you need all
Is
these?
there another cutting board inside?
Okay.
We might need some more stems. And it depends on who's going to work with what.
She's got a bunch right there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that should be good. And you know, these are going to go to Danny then after whatever we know to put in our food.
And the caps you use.
Versus what's the other option?
Like if you
Pull 'em
pull
apart.
mushrooms out of the ground,
Yes.
to me, you pull the mycelium with it, you disturb it. So I'm a cutter.
So you
But there's all these people who think actually it's helpful for the growth of the mushroom. You don't
What
agree.
do the mushrooms
I'm a cutter.
say?
Well, that's what you have to go ask. But I think they're telling different people different things. Maybe they're tricksters too. I think sometimes they play with people.
If you're going to eat them, though, if you cut them, then you bring less dirt back.
That's another good point. Has anybody ever pricked a hobo oil on your skin?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. The first time I was like, oh, this is, because you know olive oil, I like olive oil, but it's a little greasy sometimes. This isn't greasy and it just is really nice. So, we're going to use this. I think it marriages with the mushrooms.
Directly or like the vinegar you could digest?
Decide
Well, I
what
mean-
I want to do.
I mean,
The thing is, I would only put the stems in the oil.
yeah, gotcha.
And the combination of the oil with the stems is going to be super moist. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that, but you're going to utilize the alcohol and vinegar. You might, well, I'm going to put my tinctures
oil,
in mine
just
with
use
oils and
Yeah.
lotion.
Did she
And
say?
the alcohol is
Yeah.
just I'm taking a lot of mushroom tinctures at that time. Like lots of mushroom tinctures. So that's, you know, a common reason to take them for cancer fighting, for immune boosting.
Are they good for tumor shrinkage in general?
Listen, start waking up. It was like the first 5-10 minutes, like before it actually gets into the show, just lays out the premise about how it can happen, and it's like, well, yes, there it is.
So in this movie, apparently instead of bugs, it's people, and because these grow like out of the heads of the bugs.
It's the series The Last of Us.
It's based on a video game.
It's based on a video game, yeah.
The premise is that because the
Put it in the scrub, you know, it's going to be strongly immune boosting, and you know whether we take it as a tincture. However, it's also antiseptic and antibacterial, so topically we can, you know.
for the antifungal.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that true for all orange? I think it's the fly. It's an amanita, the fly agaric, or it's
Right.
that bright orange.
It's going to have some immune boosting properties, yes. That'll be represented. Now, how you're going to get to.
The way that works is that it's controlling the muscles and not just the mind of
Right.
the animal. So I wonder if it has some kind of connection to
It-
muscle.
And one of the things they say about cordyceps is that it does have a healing effect on the muscles
Okay.
topically. So,
Okay.
Oh, nice.
so if you were to put it in a, like when we make the lotion, we could, you know, one of the things we could put in the lotion would be some of this cordyceps. Yes, and it grows on the side of a birch tree. It's more like a canker. It's hard. It's not. You don't saute this up, right?
We have a lot of this in our
I
forest.
thought it was just part of the tree.
You probably do.
Yeah.
Up where
So,
you're at.
do you just put it like in a grinder to get the powder?
Yeah, and I mean it's
You
hard.
just
You have
smash
to
it
have
with a hammer.
Yeah,
Oh,
you have to
have it
break it up
smell?
into small pieces first.
Okay.
And for home blender, not just a regular blender, because
Okay.
it's pretty hard on the blender.
Okay.
And if you use a junky blender, it'll just break it.
So have like a designated blender just for your chaga.
Yeah.
And do you have to worry about the black?
No, everybody can grab a tin, and everybody can come along and put some of this in your tin. So that's another thing. Maybe. And one of the things is that I like the lion's mane with the lavender because it's a nervine. This has been studied for its effect on the nervous system. So if we want, we could just put it in the whole. Would anybody object to putting in there some of the lion's mane things? No. So we'll do that.
And what's the puffball powder good for?
That's real moisturizing, and again, lots of amino acids. It's going to be really help to hold in moisture. After we do this, I'll tell you something about puffballs that's kind of fun, and we'll do a little experiment with them. So about for topical.
What did you?
Okay, I want to get one of those.
Now you know.
You know, it's not super popular, but there are some products being produced out there. With mushrooms.
Expensive spa products when I worked at a
Yeah, and most of them are pretty expensive.
Doesn't Dr. Wheel have as well? Use what you have. Start with what you know.
Nice. See, the mushrooms are teaching the class. Oh my gosh, in my early days of teaching, I would have had this whole like agenda and we would have stuck to it. So aren't you glad that has changed?
30 minutes.
Yes, we're going to make a lotion after we're done
So,
with this.
do we
So
go ahead?
Yep, everybody can take some. Oh, you know what I forgot about? I got the measuring cup to make the lotion. We need a little pot to make a double boiler.
This reminds me of being at the beach.
Yeah.
Oh, so you want yes, to make a double boiler. So, and we'll need a little water in it. Okay. So do you want to see? Make sure you gotta. Make sure Laura gets one of these too. Are there enough tins? Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Take home your mushroom scrub.
The lion's mane
She had in there.
As a tincture.
The shiitake or this puffball?
cordyceps.
Yeah, there's cordyceps in there. Yeah.
For dealing with cancer.
Did you get a tin?
You just started a new thing. Did I hear that, or maybe is that somebody?
Last fall.
Last fall. So it's been a good year of like. Oh, that's a good seasonal thing to just see them fall, spring, summer. Fall.
Yeah.
It's a good cycle.
Make sure you should label this as a sunscreen. And she was saying that it was like over and over you'd see the same utilization of the mushroom with a different oil, but it was the same application. But see how it'd be real thick? You put it on really thick as a coating, and it would act as your sunscreen. And I just thought that was so amazing. That too, that she said you've seen it over and over again in different places. Powdered, used this way topically, in different parts of the world where people weren't even talking to each other. So if anybody wants to take a little oil and put it on, it feels really interesting. To do that. It feels really good, actually. It feels like it has a little bit of a drawing action,
So
which
for,
is interesting.
I mean, everybody needs sunscreen, but could you store this? Do you think? Could you make it into when you're traveling and stuff? Like I'm just trying to
Maybe
think.
mix it up right before you leave. It will keep for a while. I wouldn't do long-term stuff. And so I have a lighter. I said I found one. Somebody in the class had one. See? Thank you to that person. And so it's 1 tablespoon of heaping tablespoon